Hello, hello, hello. 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 Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Cool. Hello. Right, guys, let's get a Tesla quickly. Hello. Hello, hello. Right, so let's get a Tesla.
Upgrades ever and might be coming for free. Welcome to a very busy month of Tesla news. There's a lot of drama to get into, so without any further ado, let's dive into the Tesla news of the week you need to know right now. Alright, so if you follow Tesla over on any social media platform, mainly on X, you will see that they...
Let's get over the social media stuff. Let's get over that. Let's see what Tesla's got.
They've been really teasing full self-driving lately. They're really sort of leaning into the robo-taxi announcement and everything surrounding it, because June is the month that we're supposed to finally see the robo-taxi unveil, or at least the service unveil. And I'll come back to that more in a moment, but not just that is sort of a big story of the month, but also other things should be happening this month, including some software upgrade releases and also some pretty big new models. And Tesla sort of all but confirmed this in a very interesting recent post over on X. Tesla posted their usual monthly recap over on X. They highlight some cool things owners are saying, cool updates and things they've done. But then at the very bottom of this was a very ominous and exciting message that says, if I can scroll all the way to the bottom here, it's June. Welcome to the future. Next recap will be a big one. And again, like I've been saying for a while, June is sort of set up to be the stage for one of Tesla's biggest, most jam-packed months ever. So we'll break down what the leaks and rumors say we're going to get. Of course, like I mentioned, the star of the show this month is going to be the launch of what Tesla is calling Robotaxi. This is not a car, but it's the name of an Uber and Lyft competitor that basically is like Uber or Lyft. It's a ride-sharing service, but instead of a driver, the cars are driving themselves using a new version of full self-driving, or an upgraded version called full self-driving unsupervised. Tesla has been closely testing this at their factory. Some of their actually new vehicles going out of the factory to delivery lots have been using full self-driving unsupervised for the last couple of weeks. Tesla has already begun testing FSD unsupervised in the Austin area and also some parts of the Bay Area in Northern California. And in June, sometime this month, June 12th is the current rumor date, Tesla is going to launch this service first in the Austin area and basically give you a new competitor to the ride-hailing platforms and maybe sort of change automotive history for years to come.
So that is
forever.
What's happening for Tesla right now. It's big news at the moment. Right? So that's what's happening with Tesla. So what else has been happening with Tesla? So Tesla, don't forget that Tesla stock has been a wild range lately. We saw a crazy drop of 14%, right? And we put in a feud with President Trump. Yes, that happened, wiping out billions in value in just one day. Investors still believe Elon and his vision. So people still believe in Elon and his vision. As you can see, stock did drop. As you can see, that dropped. Right, it dropped by 14% from their previous high of. So Tesla was doing quite well, right? So if you look at their all-time high, it was 491, but then they had a rise here and then a drop over here. Right, as you can see, so they're high of 248, but are they rising again? Right, so it does really look like they're rising up again. So today they're on a bearish, so they opened up today on 290, they're now sitting at 324, which is good. So compared to their lowest at the moment this week was 290. So look, I think that now that Musk is less focused on the campaigns and political problems, he can now start focusing back on Tesla and doing what he does best. As we all know, that's what he needs to do. We love him, we love his direction, and he's just such a good visionary. It'll hate to see him go down because of what him and Donald Trump are going through. Right. So as you see yesterday on Monday, no, that's Monday, Tuesday, Monday. So let's go to our day. We're on a weekly at the moment. So let's go to day. Day chart. Monday. Right. As you can see, it took a massive drop with the whole Trump saga. It dropped 14%. Right? But they are rising up again. So they've gone from $278 right? They went from 278 back up to 336 compared to their high right around about, because remember they were sitting at 488. So Tesla in January opened up very, very good. But now we're looking at 6 months later. We're looking at 6 months later, and because of the political drama, you can see the drop. Right? So you can see the drop, but will they be rising again? I'm hoping so. I think they might just hit a bit of more of a drop, and let's see what happens with this robo-taxi. So let's figure that out. Right. Who's next? Let's look at. So that's Tesla at the moment. So
could be a S, but given the fact that Model the Model S and Model X look to have, let's just say, glacier blue, it looks very similar to the glacier blue color of the Model Y over in China. It seems like Tesla is making good on their promise of a few months ago that they're going to unify their color palette across different markets. Tesla has had this weird thing for a while where European countries got exclusive colors, like for a while Quicksilver and Midnight Cherry, those were just over there. In fact, Midnight Cherry never even came Dream yet, or even
And what is his new vision? So Tesla's new Optimus robot update.
There's a silent revolution happening in the electric vehicle world.
So there's a silent revolution
while everyone's
happening in the electric world right now.
Eyes are fixed on flashy sports cars and luxury sedans. One machine is quietly rewriting the rules of transportation. It's not sleek. It's not small, and it's definitely not subtle, but it might just be the most important electric vehicle ever made. This is the Tesla Semi, and what's coming next could change everything you know about shipping, logistics, and the future of the road. So buckle up. This isn't just a story about a truck. It's a story about the future.
It's the
future. Tesla Semi didn't arrive with the glamour that typically surrounds Tesla's other products. When Elon Musk first introduced the Semi back in 2017, it wasn't immediately clear how revolutionary it would be.
It was immediately clear
People saw a big truck with a futuristic design and bold promises. 500 miles of range, lightning-fast acceleration, and lower costs.
Let's start with the feud. Ultimately, it got out of control last week. What does it mean for this company operationally and how this stock trades?
Well, look, Q1 was a little bit of a tricky quarter to discern how much Mr.
Oh yeah, so let's get back to the charts. So this is your Tesla report at the moment. So for Thursday the 12th of June, 2025, let's take a look at the chart. So as you can see, look at the charts. We can start with the bigger picture and work our way into the day itself. There was a couple of weeks ago that we came off the low at the low to 350s resistance after having spent about 2 or 3 weeks testing it. So there was even a point where on the daily chart, so let's go back to our daily chart. So the daily chart you can see closed at above several days, but never, right, closed above the weekly basis, which is our final linchpin. So to speak in terms of elicitating or honoring, terms of elicitating or honoring long term, signals buying in case would have been a settlement. So above 354.14 is the end of the week, right? It didn't happen, and if it had happened to 550, it would have been a long-term attainable. Consider a long-term target sustainable at the end of the year, but insisted we fell and had a meaningful sell in signal line. Right, so signals So if we look here from about, I'm reckoning it's going to go like this, guys. So this is my honest opinion, I think. It's still going to drop about to the 250. And then I think it's going to bounce back. This is my honest opinion. Back to the 350. Or alternately, it could even spiral over here. Right? So that's how I market what might be coming soon. Right? So full-time traders know how to do these updates. So the idea term and how long we're doing so far for the month of June, for my traders, you can see up a very solid start to the month. It's 75% win rate. And I've been proud of myself for being so disciplined with my rates. The primary path before the wave 2 the high of the surprise will already put in a low, so we don't go lower, right? So this should be your buy-in point. Over here. So what you want to do is you want to watch the market for those two spaces. If it looks like it's going to go bullish from there, make sure you do your buying points over there. So look at $309, $308. If it still looks like it's going to go bearish, well, then you look at your 250s and then you'll see it rise from there. So go for alternative paths. So we're going to start to break upwards an all-time high. So either it's plausible, as you can see from past videos, right? You can see it swings high. It swings high. Right? So you can see from the previous videos it swings high. That's a high over there. Right? So this is 368. So that's 368. Next one is 347. right? So that's again 347, and you go to 314. It's 351, and you go to 314, and your lowest is at 250. Right, and as you can see, it had go. As you can see, there was a drop there, 14%. Right, so as we mentioned that these lows are for Tesla. And we aiming for 332. So this is my chart for the next upcoming weeks. So its potential top, it can do a few subways higher. So maybe at 347, you don't know. But right now, it's just a form of a technicality standpoint. It did reach 618, so we're getting a reaction off that. So we'll have to see whether or not Tesla now on sort of watches these dips in the upcoming. If it can hold these levels, well, let's say on the reverse, let's just see if it can stay out of political drama at the moment. Let's see if it can rebuild, get its brand on track, and that's what we're looking at for with Tesla. Especially with the new... And what's with the price prediction? Let's see what's happening with our price prediction of Tesla. Okay, so you know Tesla and Elon, he did it again. Like, he's such a good guy. He's showing the shots at Trump now, so I think people are rallying behind him. So I don't know if you guys saw that, but the other day the stock plummeted, as you can see over here. Right? It plummeted all the way to 330. Right? It made a nice recovery, but that's the close of June. It should be at 326. Right? So that should be our June close, is 326. My prediction for Tesla right now is to go short term. Right? But I do expect fully that Tesla will reach an all-time high again by the end of the year. So I have my, on Tesla, I know they're going to drop at the moment, but the charts can really quickly give you my thoughts on Tesla. Right. So that's my philosophy for Tesla at the moment. It did a 40% drop. It boosted back up. It dropped again. If it comes to here, there should be a buy-in. Over here should be a buy-in. And this is my target for next coming up months. Right? Right. So if you got any questions or comments about Tesla, you're more than welcome to drop it in my comments below and I shall answer you. Right. So let's go to NVIDIA right now. Right, so what's happening with NVIDIA?
Not going long just yet. In this video, we're going to talk about why, and more importantly, what requirements must be met in order for me to take a long position on NVIDIA, and what I think has to happen in order for this to break out to all-time highs. If you want to learn our trading system completely for free, get access to the indicators that you see here, the exact proprietary setup that we use, and all of the inputs, go check out our green back here, and we expanded nearly 20% within that month. Since then, price has been expanding after earnings. The daily BX did flip barely for a single.
Wow. So let's get in video. Stocks bringing on your daily video. So report on the Wednesday, the 15th of June, what happened. Right, so let's check here. This is what happened. So we had a rise. Let's go from 100 mark over here. Right, so let's look at that. And let's look at 120. Right, so let's go back to the 100. Right, so that's what happened on Tuesday, March 2025, and then let's look at the 120. Right. So now we're going to take the 143. And the 80. As you can see, there was the high, there was the low, there was the lowest, and we're looking at the highest here. Right? So let's look at this picture and start with the big picture. Right? Yeah. So let's take a look at the 6 lines over here. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put another line here. Okay, cool. So this line over here is the months descending. So now it's 9652, which we then anticipated, right, at 9652. This one over here is 157. So we characterize this as a 3 to 5 month, but a buying signal, it's been more like to have 3 to 5 weeks. So we're on our way to reaching it. And in fact, we can take a look at the same chart. Hey Bing, I see you send me a message. I will send you a message back. No, thanks Bing Bing. Okay. So with NVIDIA, you're at 134 slide over here. We can continue selling on a weekly basis, but it lines up nicely now with the 134.65. So whether it's newly formed channel or a structure based in a part on so to be a structure, it's a high hold up on the lines across the holds. So we can fall back perhaps to 143. So we can go back to 143. Right? And indicate for what we should know. Well, I mentioned the indication is testing at 134. Be a settlement today below 138.75. It's a channel bottom in its own right. It's actually longer than 143.65. It's horizontal. So what does that mean? Follow the markets through, and this is my advice. So market's volatility right now is low. So how soon? How long will it take you to reach 150? Well, this could spill well into next week. So right now, 150 will reach our objective. So guys, go for 150. And if you've been going for long, in the last 3 to 5 weeks or last 3 to 5 days, this is an area to respect for its ability to contain buying through the month of July. And we can fall away from here. So for weeks to follow, in fact, fall away from 157. So back down to some of these variations. Okay? The channel at the bottom says some variation. So I would definitely stay short for now. So I think it's likely to end of next week at 100, above 138. And there is going to be a pullback support. So actually to be tested today below 147, 138, and it could contain daily possibility of selling through the rest of the week. And from here, we can round up by the end of next week to the 150 to 3 to 5 days swing trade right now. So we close with 138.75. We have a good high for the week. But what I would do then is anticipate the 134. Right? So the next is the 2 to 3 week swing trade. So you could buy 134.65 into 150. So inverse, you can sell the low at 150, expecting I think more than a mid up 130. Then I could go into why But this structure at 134.65 will change. You can draw the similar chart on your sheets if you want and push the lows. Make sure you make your angles. You don't forget your 130s. So containers selling through July and round up in the low 150s. Right? I said earlier within 3 to 5 weeks, so we'll close reaching 150. Right? So by the end of next week, it should be above 138. Right? We're looking at 140s. So it's as simple as that. And anything in between, you know, these are just very quiet markets at the moment. So you know there is a reason to stay long. Following yesterday's sentiment, above 143.79 and above, well, I'm sorry, I'm always recording these. Live, so yeah. So don't forget your semiconductor affiliated with the Tempest and the AI and Adobe and the other holdings, right? So let's move along to let's go to the SP 500. Let's go to the SP 500. So what's happening in the SP 500? Let's get rid of this line here. So today we're going to break down how the SP 500 actually is calculated. And if you think already, if you know about the SP 500, hear about it, the time is to learn something new. So, there's no indexation without representation. Just remember that. Now, it's actually because you're considered relatively stable. Ways to invest your money, right? So in the last returns of the index over the last 5 years, we'll start in October of this year, and we'll move back to 5 years. So, thousands of you in the world's largest companies. Yeah. Sorry guys, just a little bit of a cough. So in today's chart, what we can do is we can keep it straightforward for the SP 500. We are once again approaching the record high of the SP 500. If you see it close, I want to illustrate here today and how we are looking at a very straightforward but up-to-date chart for the SP 500. We're a little bit on the year, so what's important is focusing on this over here, right? this is important. What's important is the clawbacks that we have seen from the depths here. As you can see, it's come straight back up. But as we saw with the tariff-related losses, streets have become, as so many investors have said to me, the worst scenario of most onerous is the highest tariffs on the trading partners. It seems as though the worst case has been removed, and at least for now. So if you look at the record high for February, so February 19th was its highest. Since then and today it's declined. So if you look at there, it's dropped 2.25%. It's declined by 2.25%. Investor strategies, they've been speaking, and with even recently as today, I've heard there's optimistic that we will push higher from here. But it's going to deepen one thing, so like getting those trade deals further down the line. Seeing what happens with the tax bill, and that is making its way through to Congress. So what does the Fed do next? So indeed, it's going to cut rates, or twice before. So those various things that investors are watching most closely here is in terms of where the strategy ends up in the S&P 500. Where is the wide of this? But wide dispersion, as we forget, right now, It's bull for stocks growing among the Wall Street. Nicholas, that's 550, so around it's a broad range. The outcomes, if you look at the medium of those outcomes, you can see that it gets 6,100, just a little bit above where we are today, and obviously would imply a new record for average. So the Wall Street, so what's interesting about the 6,100, which is over here, it's a new record in the medium. So since we saw the sort of tariff pause with China, many of those forecasts have been increased, like the Ed Yarny and research of Goldman Sachs, Delucci's, Bang, Cities, and Barclays have all been. So remember these cuts, we saw them on the worst scenarios. So but when we're talking about watch here, it's 6,144. So over here, this is where it is closing at the moment, but that's my target at the moment. Cool. So that's my SP 500. So who do we go to next? So that's my SP 500 for the day. So let's go to NASDAQ. So what's happening with the NASDAQ today? Right, so let's hit the NASDAQ. Let's get rid of these arrows and Qs and everything here. Right.
Explain the charts. Today, June 12th, 2025, we're analyzing the QQQ, taking into account the latest market news and what the charts are telling us. Recent headlines indicate stock futures are falling due to...
So in the recent headlines, indicate stock futures are falling due to
Trump's renewed threat of unilateral tariffs and fresh inflation data. This uncertainty creates volatility that needs to be taken into consideration. Let's dive into the daily chart of QQQ. We can see a recent rally followed by some consolidation. Looking back to early March 2025, we see some big red candles.
We can see some big red candles. February, March. We can see some red big candles.
After which, we recovered to new all-time highs.
Which recovered
what does that mean now?
High.
A key level to watch is around $520.
$520. Yeah, so the news driving the momentum is the 4th of June. What is happening with RKLB? So the new driving momentum as from June 14th, RLKB is trading at 26.72 per share. So recently, Rocket Lab scheduled an election mission called the Mountain Goal Guard, which launched on the 10th of June from New Zealand. This marks their third launch. Just 24 days, reinforcing their reputation for being so reliable and high-frequency access to space. Early in June, they had a success completing the election mission deploying Black Sky Gen 3 satellites, and their 10th launch for this customer and the 65th election flight overall. In late May, Rocket Lab announced the acquisition of GEOST, an electric, tropical, and infrared payload, manufactured for backdoll of $275 million cash in stock. This deal strengthens their capabilities in the national security and satellite payloads. They also secured a major contract with the US Air Force researching laboratories, upcoming neutron, medium, and reliable rocket for cargo mission, no earlier than 2026. This signals confidence from the Department of Defense in the next-gen launch platforms, analysts, and Rocket Labs in positioning itself in end-to-end. So this space company is frequent with elections and launches, expanding its payload to integration. It includes June 10th launch. As you can see, June 10th. June 10th. The day before their launch, can you see how that were at 32? Right, so that was on the 9th. So it really peaked up just before their launch. And then the 10th, it opened up well, but it landed up being a bearish candle. Right, so that is the 10th. So the highest of the 9th was 32.65, and then the lowest of launch day, they closed at 27.44. Right? So that is what's happening with them today. So they're getting tons of comments. Right, so massive leadership is up by 20% and pretty good gain on the day. So just taking a look at the price of sales and valuation, the market capital revenue, we can see that this company is already about 3 times undervalued to even have one-on-one ratio, which still could be undervaluated right now. So you can talk about it. They have small stocks and their price sale evaluation is right now. So let's take let's go back here so we can see from how we go from here. So that is RBK. So let's see what else we got. Let's hit the Dow Jones. Right, so what's happening in the Dow Jones today? Right, so the information today so let's do a trade framework and let's see what they announced between the US and China. As it said, new data shows, inflation shows that it ticked higher than last month. Last month, roughly slightly less than economic. And the economists, they had a lot to say. The Dow dipped today. Let's look at the top 500. So the stocks are interactive. The heat map brought to you by. So you can see there's a bit of some red dragging about the numbers. So the Dow industry is 42,867 and it is plus 25%. The SP 500 is sitting at 6 and it's at 0.39%. The Nasdaq is 19,715, so it's plus 6.3%. The stocks ended higher on Tuesday as investors bet on positive results as of trade talks between the US and China. The Dow rose 0.25% and the SP 500 added 0.5%, and the Nasdaq climbed about 0.6%. The trade talks on London aimed discussing a tariff dispute, and that has a royal global market. This year, the US Commerce Secretary Howard Lintek said either on Tuesday that should be the trade talks and what's going well, and could run into Wednesday. So later, the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told reporters that talks could continue and we need to have 2 days of it. So the positive talks that are going, and that's what's happening in the news today.
In its current form,
so what's happening in the Federal Reserve? Let's check this out. So be avoided to engineered by getting the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 there on Jekyll Island. They laid the groundwork. The late groundwork for economy built on promises. Rather than the back on the golden gives us precision. Hey guys, and that's a wrap for us today. I hope you enjoyed. I will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. And yeah, so I'll be bringing you the latest news, what's happening in charts, how to use your charts, and anything else. Don't forget to drop me a comment. I don't mind. And yeah, that's for me today. My name is Reagan the Bull, and I brought you all this live streamed. Check you all out.